what is it that's fun and engaging about Hang, relative to other loyalty, solutions that are out there?
Well, I think the question is what is not engaging and what is
Right.
wrong with the other solutions?
What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Local Marketing Lab, where you get real-world insights from industry pros to help you drive local revenue and local growth. This podcast is brought to you by Evocalize, digital marketing tools powered by local data that automatically work where and when your locations need it most. Learn more at evocalize.com. What's up, and welcome to the Local Marketing Lab. Joining us in the lab today is a guest with experience across many industries. He's an entrepreneur, has a passion for problem solving, and is the co-founder and CEO of Hang, Matt Smolin. Thank you for joining us in the lab, my friend.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
You bet. So, we talk a lot on this show about acquisition marketing, and, you specialize in the loyalty space. So 100% is a component of marketing. I thought it would be good to get you in the lab and talk a little bit about loyalty, from your perspective. But before we do that, maybe we could just, get a little bit about your background and so we can have an understanding where you come from and what Hang is all about.
Definitely. So, the long story of it all is started my career more on the finance side, was working at a bank as a trader there. Eventually moved over to a company out in the Bay Area where I was working at this larger fund investing into mainly like private equity venture capital funds. And through that work, realized that, I always had these own ideas of my own. So why not start something? And so I had a passion. I have a passion for a few different things. Initially started this company in the live event ticketing space, just with my passion for live events and all the issues I had buying tickets, kind of parlayed with just what I would see every day as a trader, where the systems looked a lot more efficient. Actually, I thought could be really beneficial to bring that to that market. Started that company. It was doing pretty well. It was killed by COVID to a certain degree, right as we were launching like our newest app and stuff like that. And so spent over a year kind of trying to figure out what was next. We had raised some money and had money in the bank and had to let go of a bunch of people and close our office down. And, soon enough came up with this other concept that kind of played off of what we were already doing. And a year later, that really became what was Hang. And so Hang really started at the end of 2021, understanding that in a world where acquisition costs have become so much more expensive for brands for a number of reasons, it's really, really important for marketers to find ways not so much to offset or not so much to reduce CAC because it's almost impossible, but instead offset it. And as a result, like so many brands have looked to loyalty solutions and other customer engagement solutions that can just like get more value of the customers that they already do have. But I would tell you that I think when measured correctly, very rarely do these solutions actually significantly lift lifetime value, or at least lift it enough to make up for this increase in acquisition cost. And so we thought that there was a huge opportunity to come in here and create something that, not only was really beneficial from a brand perspective in regards to bottom line, but actually just fun and engaging for an end user.
Yeah. What is it that's fun and engaging about Hang, relative to other loyalty, solutions that are out there?
Well, I think the question is what is not engaging and what is wrong with the other solutions? And, as the CEO and co-founder of this company, people think I'm this big points nerd guy where I count up all my points. I'm in every program, all these things. Like I belong to very few loyalty programs, if any, because I think they're all miserable. If you look at any loyalty program on earth, and it's not just a restaurant thing, I think it's just like generally across a number of industries, they're basically all the same exact thing. I'll definitely answer your question on what makes ours more fun and exciting. But I think the starting point here is like, when you look at these other programs out there, they really are all the same and they really haven't advanced in years. I think like it's wild to me when I go to these conferences and I see, I never find new technology in this space or anything that's actually like kind of next gen in how we can help brands and customers engage. And I think, there's three core areas that need a lot of improvement. One is the fact that these are super transactional programs. It's always the same spend money, earn points, get reward over and over and over again. It takes forever for customers to level up. And very rarely do users know what points even mean. We've surveyed over 1 million customers. No one ever has any understanding of how many points they have in their account and what those points are going to mean to them. And no one since the beginning of time has ever gone to a restaurant, shopped at an e-commerce store, made a purchase. And as they went to make that purchase, they said, oh, if I spend an extra $7, let me pull out my calculator, see how many points that equals and what that's going to mean to me. It's just not how we
Mm-hmm.
operate, right? And if you look at
Yeah.
categories that are really good at engagement, mobile gaming, social apps, things like Duolingo, they all follow two core rules. One, no
Mm.
customer will ever read instructions. And two, no customer is not going to do math. And these are platforms where you level up in seconds or minutes, not weeks and months, and you get dopamine hits through animations and rewards that are valuable or useful in a game. I think especially for local businesses and restaurants, you only have so much margin to give up. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's very limiting in the rewards you can offer. When you look at, these sorts of very popular mobile games, they're great at creating reward sets that have
Yeah.
a high perceived value, but low cost, unlocking a new level you can play, status, community, entertainment. The OG of
Mm-hmm.
this is totally McDonald's Monopoly. Everyone and their sister would get Park Place. You feel like for 4 days, you're about to become a millionaire. And even though you never got it, it didn't
Yeah.
matter. That was fun. And so there's a few other pieces on like how we think about changing loyalty from like one size fits all to fully personalized, as well as just like a more omni-channel experience. But from an engagement perspective, which I think is what you initially asked, I think those are the biggest issues that face loyalty today.
Yeah. If it makes total sense. So if I'm a business and I'm trying to drive loyalty, I need to do a good job of understanding the different customer segments that I have, knowing what they value, and trying to establish like an emotional connection with them. So a tool like this is a great way to establish that connection at a deep level, and give them something that they like to do that they find entertaining, whether they're in your, in your store, in restaurant or in retail, whatever it might be, or outside, right? It gives them something to do to stay tied to the brand. And it's not just the brand from corporate pumping out brand assets and content and, commercials and stuff like that. It wires them to your brand.
Yeah, definitely. I think again, there's this whole thing where people, the word loyalty, I think at this moment in time has been, it's tired. I think people just expect it to be a crappy program. Like as a consumer, after I've been a part of 15 different loyalty programs where I've gotten very little value, I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
remember the next program, or I'm not going to want to be a
Mm-hmm.
part of it. And so you have to capture that user from day one and really excite them and get them in. It's kind of like making sure that you have the right sort of progression loop in place to just keep them engaged. And I think like it's an uphill battle because everything out there is so bad. But once you get them in, it actually becomes quite easy because you've been able to delight them in a way that maybe they haven't seen before. And to your
Mm-hmm.
point, beyond just the core engagement side, which we can go into really deep, it's also about being personalized. We live in a world now where my YouTube account knows more about me than I know about myself. And so much of my life through technology is fully personalized. But when you look at most brands, they're going to given every customer the same exact offers, rewards, and experiences. And
Mm-hmm.
if you don't tailor the experience to me as an individual, as a brand, one, you're going to spend too much money, and two, you're going to not have as effective of a program. And so we use things like machine learning to be really smart about giving each user unique experiences, offers, and rewards based on their preferences and history. And we can do that in a scalable way. And in doing that, we found that, when a brand, for example, puts out a traditional brand promotion and they test it against our personalized brand promotions, they're seeing an increase in conversion of 3x while seeing a reduction of cost on the same exact offers by 30%. And the truth is, when a
Mm-hmm.
brand sends every customer the same offer, or even every customer in one segment the same offer, they're just
Mm-hmm.
over serving users because each of those people, if you can choose the thing that they actually want, I promise you can find something that's
Mm-hmm.
cheaper that will be more effective than the thing that you're giving them. And so we've tried to, scalably do that in a way where now brands can really keep in touch with their customers in a meaningful way. And yeah, that's going to be great from a efficiency standpoint in regards to marketing costs, but it also just makes the customer feel like them. As back in the day, 50 years ago, loyalty wasn't about a discount. It was the barista behind the counter knowing your name and your order and smiling at you and just making you feel good. And I think like creating more personalization or using personalization to create just like a better customer experience is pushing back to kind of those old days.
Yeah. What are some examples of how you bring personalization into your loyalty programs that you provide for your clients?
Yeah. So again, like, well, one thing is we do power full stop loyalty, but we've built this platform in a very modular way, which I think is pretty unique for this industry. We have like a headless solution. So brands can choose between a variety of different features that they want. So theoretically, a brand could already have a loyalty program and just use us for mini games or just use us for personalized offers. You don't have to use us for everything. Honestly, like obviously, I think like the best move would be for you to use this for everything, but understanding that some brands might have like 2 years left on a contract, or it just is it's a headache
Yeah.
to move off of their existing system for a bit, and so they start that way. But more directly to answer your question around personalization, there's a few core areas. One is in regards to the rewards that we actually offer, in our programs. Like one of our big features is, and you can still build a program where it's like a very basic point solution, but we've created like this new type of earning mechanic through what we call like mystery boxes. So in gaming, it's called a loot box mechanic, which is the number one driver of action in all games, where it's like you came back to the app, you beat the boss, you took the action, you open this little treasure chest, and it's like a slot machine. You get one of many rewards. We do this for loyalty. So you shop at your favorite brand, you go there in person, the more money you spend, the bigger the box gets. When you make that purchase, you can unlock it, and it's one of many rewards. A cool thing, though, is we have on the back end a model that's constantly operating where the probabilities of what you'll get in that box will shift based on how the program is operating, as well as what your unique preferences and histories are. So some people might be
Interesting.
more likely to redeem a reward that is a discount. And it doesn't need to be discounts, but in this case, a discount that is dollars off versus percentage off, things like that. So that's one area where like we're really personalizing the rewards themselves to each user to make sure that we have, we're really effective in getting them back. With quests and challenges, different customers can get different quests or challenges depending on their unique preferences and histories, where they're likely to post on social media, what type of item they're likely to buy, when they're likely to come to the store. And then just generally across like offer management and promotions, I think that's a big area where we're seeing a big lift where, in many cases as a brand, you'll choose a segment of customers to send a promotion to. Maybe it's users who haven't been to our business in the last 3 months, but a month before that, they all bought this one thing. So it's an all offer. In that case, you might be sending, to keep the math simple, you might be sending 100 people the same offer. Our system would enable you to choose 100 offers, and the system will choose the right offer for the right person at the right time. And again, like it just is a scalable way to be far more curated and making each customer feel special. And as a result, get them to take the action that you really care about.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily just through one app, as I understand it. Like you tie multiple channels of information in, so it's creating an experience outside of an app. And it's, like you said, with social, if they want to, are you pulling in information about them? Are they sharing how they're doing on the, within the program? Like maybe dive in a little bit there.
So yeah, that's actually the third tenet of like what's wrong with loyalty today. So essentially, like the other piece is that loyalty programs, I think customer engagement in general, is single channel today. And, that might have made sense 50 years ago when you're a one location store in mom and pop shop in some neighborhood. All your business is going to come through that one door. And as a result, like having a loyalty program, for example, that just attributes actions at your POS in person makes sense. But today your customers are buying and engaging with you across a number of channels. There's third-party channels for a restaurant. Maybe it's Uber Eats and DoorDash. For an e-commerce brand, it's Amazon. There's people posting all across social media, and there's more social media platforms coming up every year. It can be reviews, whatever it might be. There's a number of actions that just aren't being covered. A lot of restaurant businesses, for example, might have like a Shopify store where they're selling merchandise or different CPG products and vice versa. How do you actually attribute that? And so what we've done is we've connected all these channels and created a solution where that user can really earn and be rewarded across all those channels with just this one single account identifier, which maybe that's an email. In many cases, that's a phone number. And as a result, we've now connected the entire customer experience, which lets brands really push the user towards whatever they care about, whenever they care about it. And so, it's been pretty cool for like a quest or challenge now. It could be post this review, do this thing on TikTok, make a purchase in store. And as a result, it just, creates more opportunity for the brand and the customer to kind of connect with each other. And some
Yeah.
have been really impactful. I think like for restaurants specifically in a post-COVID world, 30% of orders or 20 to 30% orders come through platforms like Uber Eats and DoorDash, who would never give that data to a brand. And we found a way
Yeah.
to enable users in loyalty to now earn based on third-party platforms. And from a brand's perspective, they can find ways to get that user back to their first-party channels. They just have better data, and they can be much more efficient with their marketing once they know that customer is purchasing through third parties.
Yeah, exactly. It's difficult to identify all the things that someone's doing, but if you're able to guide them there and track the data, you could much more intelligently market to them and segment your audiences, and like you said, like fully personalize the offers that you're driving to them. Do you have an example of maybe one of your clients that they're doing this really well, or they've done some of the tactics really well that you want to maybe give a shout out to?
I think that most any customer using our full offering has seen really great results. I can speak to a few more specifically.
Yeah.
I think generally one stat that we're really proud of is just like when you look at the program entirely, we see like the best performance in market. I think like the truth is the way that loyalty is evaluated today, the main metric that most brands use is this kind of concept of how much more are your users in your loyalty program spending than your users who are not. That's like the
Mm-hmm.
core industry metric. That's what all the big providers use. That's like what McKinsey uses. And McKinsey will tell you that the best programs in market increase spend, the top quartile programs increase spend by 15 to 25% for users in loyalty versus users who are not.
Mm.
Now, we 3 to 4x that stat. But I'll be the first one to tell you, I think this is
Mm.
a terrible way to think about loyalty because it's not incremental. Loyalty needs to be incremental. What this is telling you is pretty biased because typically your best customers are already going to be the ones who sign up for loyalty. And so when you're only looking
Mm.
at users in loyalty versus users who are not, the users in loyalty are always going to be increased. Whereas for us, like loyalty needs to be incremental. If you're going to give out rewards, you need to make sure that for every dollar that you spend in rewards, you have a return. And when you use that stat, you're not going to be able to figure that out. And so for us, what we do is we actually evaluate our programs based on each user that joins a loyalty program. And what we're looking at is how much more are you as a user spending once you're in loyalty versus how much you were spending before you were in loyalty. And we do a number of things to be able to understand on the data side to really understand customers before they even join a loyalty program through credit
Mm.
card tokenization matching and a number of other features. And so we have a really great sense of like your entire business, not just the users who join the loyalty program. And when we run that, what we find is that on average, each user that joins loyalty, again, on average, increases spend net of reward costs by about like 56%. So from what we can tell,
Wow.
that's like the best performing programs out there. I think like when you look at some of our programs, I think, Guys is a great example of a company that has been around that number. I think on average, they're increasing spend for users by like 50%. Rome Burger, they, I think, are closer to like 100%. And then, from a mini game perspective, like Ulta Beauty is one of our customers as well. And what we found with them is like for their users who play our mini games, 86% of those users will come back to their app the following week. And so just like a number of great
Mm.
stats between both engagement and, actual revenue that I think are pretty interesting.
No, those are very interesting. And for our listeners, you operate across, you're industry agnostic, basically, right? Any industry at all that engages with a customer base.
Yeah, we do work with brands in a number of industries. Some of those do include like e-commerce, retail, even professional sports teams. But
Yeah.
in regards to like our go-to-market focus, we definitely have more of a focus in the restaurant space. Like we've
Yeah.
only been doing a true go-to-market motion for a few months now. Everything up until then was kind of inbound that came to us. And as we focus these efforts, we are
Yeah.
pushing mainly for the restaurant space.
Yeah. It was a ton of fun having you on. Before I let you go though, how do our listeners follow you, follow Hang?
Yeah, definitely. You can find Hang at hang.com. Find me on LinkedIn, just Matt Smolin, or just Hang on LinkedIn. And then my Twitter is estimated with 2 T's.
Oh, very cool. Well, you heard him. If you follow Matt on LinkedIn, he's got lots of insightful content around loyalty. As you heard in this, episode, he's got a different approach, different philosophy behind it. So he's got some great insights that he shares pretty often there. If you're looking for a different engaging approach to loyalty, check out Hang. Thanks so much for listening today, Matt. Like I said, ton of fun having you in the lab.
Thank you so much. Great to be here. Really appreciate it.
As always, thanks for joining us in the Local Marketing Lab. This podcast is brought to you by Evocalize. To learn how Evocalize can help you grow your business, visit evocalize.com. If you learned something new from today's episode, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook at Evocalize. That's Evocalize. And on X at Evocalize Inc. And remember, keep innovating and trying new things. You never know what's going to connect with your audience until you try. And until next time, thanks for listening.